When was the last time you truly felt alive? Not just breathing, not just going through the motions, but wide awake, with your heart beating fast, your mind focused, and your soul on fire. If it's been a while, that's not a coincidence. That's a warning sign. Most people aren't living, they're just existing. Waking up tired, dragging themselves through the day, numbing the pain with distractions and calling that a life. Deep down, they know something's missing. That emptiness you feel, it's your potential screaming to be seen. And if you stay asleep much longer, that scream will fade into silence. You weren't born to live like this. You weren't made to just survive. You were built for something more, something deeper. But that more won't show up on its own. Life doesn't hand out purpose. You have to fight for it. Right now, you might be stuck. Maybe you've been knocked down so many times, you stopped getting up. Maybe fear has wrapped around you so tight, you forgot what courage feels like. Or maybe comfort has become your prison, soft, familiar, and slowly stealing everything you could have been. That's how most people lose. Not with a crash, but with a slow surrender. This is your wake-up call. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, because every second you waste is one you never get back. Regret doesn't hit you when you fail, it hits you when you didn't even try. That's what you'll have to live with, not knowing what you could have done, who you could have been. Think about that. Think about waking up 10 years from now and realizing you played it safe. You let fear decide your future. You watched life pass like a movie, never stepping into the role you were meant to own. That pain, that's the price of staying asleep. But here's the truth, it doesn't have to end like that. There's still time. As long as you're breathing, you've got a choice. And if you're willing to listen, really listen, you'll hear something deep inside you starting to wake up. That fire might be buried under pain, failure, and doubt, but it's not gone. It just needs air. It needs you to believe again. You might feel broken, but you're not beyond repair. You might feel lost, but you're not beyond redemption. You're just one decision away from changing everything. And if you stay with me till the end of this video, I promise you this, you will remember who you are. You will see the power that's been inside you all along, not because of some magic words, but because the truth, when spoken at the right time, can crack open the strongest chains. This is that time. Stay awake, stay present, because what you'll hear next might just be the thing that saves your life. The real enemy isn't outside you, it's within. It's that voice in your head whispering, you're not good enough. It's the thought that says, why try? You'll just fail again. That voice, that constant self-doubt isn't the truth. It's a trap, a psychological defense mechanism designed to keep you safe. But in doing so, it keeps you small. Your brain is wired to protect you from risk, from discomfort, from the unknown. But growth lives in all those places. And if you keep listening to that voice, you will never escape the cage it builds for you. Every single day, there's a war happening in your mind. One side wants you to rise, to reach, to become. The other wants you to hide, to hesitate, to stay in the shadows. And the truth is, most people lose that war without even realizing it. They believe the excuses, they believe the fear, and they believe the lies, not because they're weak, but because the lies feel safe, familiar, comfortable. But comfort doesn't create greatness. It kills it slowly, quietly, without resistance. Look around, how many people are walking through life numb? Not because they don't have dreams, but because they've been trained to ignore them. Think about that. Trained by failure, trained by criticism, trained by a world that says, be realistic. That voice inside you that wants to fight, it's still there, but it's buried under years of noise. And unless you make a decision to change that, the noise will win, and you will lose your life one wasted day at a time. Psychologists call it the default mode. Your brain constantly loops back to familiar thoughts and behaviors, even when they're harmful, just because they're known. That's why it's so hard to break habits. That's why you keep starting over again and again. Your mind wants the path of least resistance. But the life you want, it sits on the other side of resistance. It requires a choice to fight through the doubt, the fear, and the pull to stay the same. You won't feel ready. You won't feel confident. But you don't need to. You just need to act, especially when it feels uncomfortable. This is about becoming conscious. Waking up every day and choosing to be the one who decides what happens next. You don't need to fix everything at once. You just need to stop being passive. Stop letting your emotions drive the car. Stop letting fear hold the map. That voice in your head, it's not your enemy, but it does need to be trained, because left unchecked, it becomes the master, and you, the servant. That's not the life you were meant to live. You're stronger than the voice. You're smarter than the fear. And you are capable of more than the patterns you've been stuck in. But no one can fight this battle for you. You have to go inside. You have to face the part of yourself that's been running. You have to stop avoiding the mirror and finally say, enough. I'm done being ruled by fear. I'm done sleeping through my own life. This battle isn't easy, but it's worth it. Because once you take control of your mind, Everything changes, the fog lifts, the excuses lose power, and for the first time in a long time, you begin to see who you really are. Now that you see the battle within, it's time to understand the truth most people never realize. Your life is in your hands, not fate's, not luck's. Yours. You are not powerless. You are not stuck. The mind will try to convince you otherwise, but that's just a leftover defense mechanism trying to protect you from change, because change feels dangerous. But staying the same is what's truly deadly. Every moment, you're making a choice. Every thought, every decision, every reaction, you're either taking control or handing it over. And once you see that, you can never unsee it. There's something powerful that happens when you stop waiting. When you stop wishing and start owning. You realize you don't need anyone to give you permission. You don't need the perfect plan. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to move. Life responds to action, not thought, not intention. Action. Your mind wants proof before it believes, but life works in reverse. You believe first, you step first, and then the proof comes. That's the difference between people who stay stuck and those who break through. They act without waiting to feel ready. You've been taught to doubt yourself, to look outward for answers, to trust other people's voices more than your own. But no one knows your path like you do. Deep inside, you already know what you need to do. You already know what's been calling you. You don't need another sign. You don't need another motivational quote. What you need is to look yourself in the mirror and say, I decide what happens next. No more waiting, no more hiding. I'm taking my life back. This is where the power of choice comes alive. It's not about changing your entire world in one day. It's about realizing that you control the next decision, and the next, and the one after that. Every step builds momentum. And momentum is where transformation lives. Psychologically, once you start moving in a new direction, your brain begins to rewire itself. New pathways form, old habits weaken, and suddenly the impossible starts to feel possible. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Don't underestimate the fire within you. It may feel small, but it's enough to ignite a revolution. One spark is all it takes. That spark comes the moment you stop negotiating with your excuses. The moment you say, I'm not living like this anymore. That moment rewrites everything. Because from that moment forward, you're no longer the victim of your past. You're the author of your future. You're going to face resistance. That's not a sign to stop. It's proof that you're pushing against the limits you've outgrown. Let it come. Let the fear rise. Let the doubt scream. And then do it anyway. Take the first step, then the next. You'll stumble, you'll fall, but you'll rise again, stronger, wiser, more alive than ever before. And when you look back, you'll realize it was never about being fearless. It was about being brave enough to choose again and again. Because in the end, the life you want isn't waiting for you. It's waiting on you. You've made the decision. You've claimed your power. But now comes the part where most people fall: execution. Because making a decision feels good. It gives you a hit of clarity, a moment of confidence. But that feeling doesn't last. It fades. And when it does, most people stop. That's why action is everything. Because without it, your decision is just another empty promise. You have to move. You have to do something. Anything. Because motion breaks fear, stillness feeds it. And when you move even a little, you begin to take back control of your life. The brain is built for momentum. Psychology calls it the progress principle. When you make progress, even in tiny amounts, your brain releases dopamine. That's motivation's fuel. But you won't get that feeling until you start. Not before. Not while you're thinking or planning or imagining. Only after you've acted. That's why the first step is always the hardest. It has no reward up front. It's pure faith. But once that step is taken, your mind starts working for you, not against you. You begin to create your own energy, your own confidence, your own direction. Think about how many times you waited to feel ready. How many ideas died in your mind? How many moments slipped by while you hesitated? That hesitation isn't harmless. It's a habit. And habits shape your identity. If you keep waiting, you become someone who waits. But if you start acting even imperfectly, you become someone who moves, someone who adapts, someone who builds momentum instead of watching it pass by. Stop romanticizing motivation. It's not magic. It's not lightning. It's motion. It's built from doing hard things even when you don't feel like it. You don't have to feel inspired to show up. You have to show up to feel inspired. That's how real change happens. By doing the work before you feel like doing it. That's what separates the winners from the watchers. Not talent, not resources, just consistency. Relentless consistency. Action is the cure for almost everything. Anxiety, fear, overthinking, low self-esteem. When you move, you break the cycle. You change your state. You shift from victim to creator. And that shift, though invisible, is everything. Because the moment you act, you prove to yourself that you are not controlled by fear. You are not controlled by doubt. You are in control. You always have been, even if it's small, even if it's messy. Do it anyway. Send the message. Go to the gym. Say no. Say yes. Start the project. Wake up earlier. Whatever it is, do it. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel like it. Now. Because every second of delay gives your old patterns more power, and you've given them enough already. The world doesn't need more people who say they're going to change. It needs more people who do. And the moment you become that person, the one who acts in spite of fear, you stop being a prisoner of your past. You become the architect of your future. You've felt the pain of regret. You've seen the war inside your mind. You've taken back your power. You've started to move. Now it's time to rise. Not as the person you've been, but as the one you were always meant to become. This is the moment where everything shifts. When you stop surviving and start living with purpose. When you stop hiding from your potential and finally step into it. Because the truth is, life is short, but it's not over. Not yet. And as long as you're still breathing, you have something to fight for. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real. Be willing. Be relentless. Because the path will test you. It will hurt. You'll want to give up. You'll hear that old voice again, whispering that you're not enough. Let it speak, but don't let it lead. You're not that voice. You're the one listening. And now you're the one choosing differently. That's power. That's freedom. That's how transformation begins. You're going to get tired. You're going to fall. But warriors don't rise because they're unbreakable. They rise because they refuse to stay broken. That's who you are now. A fighter, a builder, a leader of your own life. You don't wait for the perfect moment. You create it. You don't need validation. You validate yourself. You don't chase motivation. You build discipline. That's how you keep going when the world goes quiet, when no one's watching, when no one believes in you. Because you've learned the most important truth of all: belief starts with you. Every scar you carry is proof that you've survived. But survival is not the goal anymore. Thriving is. Rising is. Becoming is. You don't live to exist. You live to expand, to explore, to express what's burning inside you. Stop shrinking to fit the life you've outgrown. Stop lowering your light to make others comfortable. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to break through. There's nothing easy about this path, but ease was never the goal. Freedom is. And freedom doesn't come from the outside. It comes from owning your mind, your time, your choices. The world may still doubt you. The past may still haunt you, but neither defines you. Only your next step does. And you are ready. Wake up and fight for your life. Not because you hate where you are, but because you believe in where you're going. You have something rare, something most people forget. You have awareness. And with that, you have power. Don't waste it. Use it. Let it drive you, push you, pull you forward. Let it remind you every day that this life is yours and no one is coming to live it for you. The clock is ticking, not to scare you, but to awaken you. Because time is the one thing you'll never get back. Spend it wisely. Spend it boldly. Spend it building a life that makes you proud when you look in the mirror. No more sleepwalking. No more excuses. No more waiting for signs. Wake up, stand up, and fight like your life depends on it. Because it does.